Adam Cook, do you like playing small guitar-like instruments?
Do guitars count?
It's not exactly what I was going for in this particular instance, but you can get small, like guitar-like instruments, I do suppose.
Like
you know what you can also get?
A mandolin or a banjo or...
Yeah, or a banjo guitar, whatever. There'll be banjos that are guitars, they're cool. But what I'm really trying to get at here is, do you like playing ukulele?
I do, yes, but I am a platform game fan, like yourself, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
But I was quite scared of this one because it feels so referential, like the idea that it's Banjo-Kazooie, ukulele, the whole... I mean, you know, it's fine, but sometimes that when you don't distance yourself from the past, you run the risk of creating expectations. Do you know what I mean?
I get what you mean, yeah, because that's what they've gone in saying this is the rebirth of banjo and stuff. And before we get to it, shall you explain what you've actually played and what I've seen?
Yeah, it's called a toy box or play box. I've actually forgotten which of those
Sandbox.
two is. Sandboxy. It's all the same thing. It's kind of, it's almost like a proof of concept thing. They sent this out to Kickstarter backers.
Of £20.
Right, that's right. Yeah,
I was £15. quite annoyed when I discovered that.
But I mean, would you be able to play it on, because it's PC only, from what I can understand.
Exactly. Yeah, but PC and Mac and stuff. And no, I would not.
It's kind of like a demo in that it introduces you to the mechanics of this game, and it sort of introduces you to the world by means of it's kind of silly and the noises the characters make. It kind of gives you an idea of what to expect. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. No, it seems to me it's just this is what it'll feel like to jump and fly and roll, test it out, have a gander,
and
then
I will say I had an absolute nightmare with it at first.
Why is that?
Because I'm playing on PC with a wireless Xbox One controller, and it was telling me to do things and they weren't working. And I'm thinking I was actually thinking this is broken. So I went to the options and there's an option to tick that says using Windows 10 blah blah blah, and once you do that all the controls suddenly work, so it was fine. But I was very scared because I was really hoping this would be a really cool game, and the way it can, so basically when you're playing it, right trigger lets you roll, and before I checked this button I was in permanent roll state, which meant and obviously you can't, there's no precision there because you're rolling, and I for a minute thought, do you spend the whole game rolling? Of course, so but forget all that because I fixed that. It was just a toggle. Interesting. Again, it's not the final game, and instantly I relaxed into it, and it's kind of what you'd expect, but that's a good thing because there's not many of these made nowadays.
Yeah. So I've seen. I think I've seen some of the actual first area of the game at E3. Right. I saw about half an hour of it being played or so. And what the developer was telling me, and as I was playing it, it seems like whilst they are taking like the core aspects of collectibles and platform, etc., from the originals like your banjos and whatnot.
Yeah.
They were saying they were very clear to make it out that they were like evolutionising that and revolutionising it or whatever, and making it mean something. So every collectible in this game actually gives you something when you get it. So there's like things like song sheets which can give you.
Yeah.
So you've got the world, and if you collect a lot of the song sheets in the world, you'll get the world will then expand, and there's more stuff to do in that world.
Okay.
So you collect song sheets in every world, and then you can spend them on expanding that world if you want. So if you really like a world, because there's loads of different themes of worlds. So if you like the first one I saw was like a jungle type world, the one that everyone's seen, the green one. If you then really like that world, you can spend song sheets you've collected on it to expand it. And then there's other things you collect which gives you upgrades. There's other things you collect that gives you different wacky modifiers to the game. And there was one I saw called 64-bit. And I was like, what's that do? And it was very, didn't give me the answer, but I think it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Because it was called 64-bit.
Yeah.
And there's loads of different things like that. So I think all the collectibles in this game will actually mean something, which is exciting to me. It's not just collecting for collecting's sake, but there is so much to collect at the same time. But it means something. So
I tell you, I don't want to say this because I feel like this is perhaps hype overload, and I don't want to do that. But when I sit and think about what I've just been playing, what it reminds me of is a kind of cross between Crash Bandicoot and Mario 64.
Okay, yeah, that's what I felt.
It really feels like that. Like even in because there's what they do in this. I mean, I say demos, but you know what I mean. I'm going to refer to it as a demo because it's a demonstration of what the game is. What they do is they each sort of area within the area is there to show off a mechanic. So there is like an area where you have to roll around and jump that teaches you about rolling. There's water to swim in. There's an area where you have to move a ball, quite fiddly actually. You have to move like a big ball around and then push it up a hill, drop it into a little slot, which opens up a window or doory thing where you can get more of these feathers that you're collecting, which is the kind of point of this. There's like areas that require you to use your super jump, which is like you hold down left trigger and he goes off his tail. There's an area where there's enemies, which is again where the crash thing comes in, because when you attack, you sort of spin your tail, and it really reminds me of Crash Bandicoot's spin attack. You know, it's just his standard thing. And to be honest with you, there's nothing to dislike about it. I mean, it has the standard things you'd expect, like sometimes the camera has a shit fit, you know? It sort of gets in the way of it. So there's an area as well where you have to go up real high and you have to push big blocks out of the way to kind of get round a maze type area. Very rudimentary. You can imagine it being difficult in the game. And again, you get to the end and you get more feathers. That's the purpose of this whole thing. Is you got to collect 100, and it says there's a some sort of surprise if you do. I didn't do that. I got quite a few, but there's little to dislike, and there's a lot to be very, very excited and hopeful.
What did you think of the movement, the platforming, how the two characters like combined for different moves? What did you think of that?
I mean, to give it a modern comparison,
it looked great when I
it's fine. It reminds me of Ratchet and Clank, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
like, you know,
that's
you jump,
exactly
hold down the jump button, and he uses instead of Ratchet, it's well, I don't know which one's Yuka and which one's Laylee, but whichever one it is, that's the bat type creature, uses him. It's very reminiscent of those games that people liked. As I say, even down to the fact that at the moment in this version, the camera can kind of get in the way a little bit. But generally speaking, I left it and I was like, I'm going to stop now, because this has done exactly what I feel like it was intended to do, and it's whet my appetite for the final game. In that I was moderately looking forward to it because it's my genre, but now I'm like, actually, they just go away and come back when the game's ready, and I will happily sit through that game and play through it and enjoy it, I reckon, with this. Because even from the moment you start the game, when their logo comes up, it's full of colour, and you're like, this is going to be colourful, and it's going to be...
It's fun.
The only thing I will say, just for a little bit of balance, the characters kind of constantly make noise, so if you're rolling around, you kind of constantly get like the whole time. Now,
does that annoy you?
Yeah, it does.
I don't know. I think that's just... Because it's like that type of just cute.
No, I agree with you, but it's constant. Like it's constant, and that's. It didn't annoy me in this, but
I think it's if you're doing a move, it does it. So if you're rolling,
but you're kind of always doing something. Like they're very cutesy, and that's fine. But the rolling specifically, like the noise was like, it just needs to be like. I mean, not to be doing impressions, but rather me. It just needs to be like me. You know, just a slight, just a
little less intense.
Not so it's like a alarm going off almost, but that's a real minor complaint in what.
No, I understand.
It's really fun. Like I say, it's on my radar now properly. This is I really want to play the final game, because you know you're missing the story and like that. It's a very basic. This is the design. This is what we're going for. That's what
I really can't wait. Like from what I've seen, the amount of content that's going to be in this, I think it's going to be such a meaty. And like it can just be short if you want it to be, but I reckon if you really like this stuff, and it's been so while since we've had a proper one like this, a new one, just to be able to get proper stuck into it, it's going to be a proper great experience. Where I reckon there'll be good hours upon hours of collecting and just exploring all these different areas and the stuff. Whereas then you eat a berry and it'll shoot into a cloud, and then in the first area there's like a river surrounding a mountain, and to get to a different area you had to go up, climb this mountain, shoot like a frost berry into the cloud, and then it would snow, then the river would freeze, and then it would be icy, you can race on it, and then it'll get you into a different area, then you melt it so it can go water, or you dry it up so you can walk on it, or loads of different... That I think it's going to have like worlds within worlds within worlds, and the amount of depth it's going to be in this, and like the amount of worlds it's actually going to be, I don't think they told me, but they made it out to be a lot. I think it's going to be fucking cracking when it comes out.
It's genuinely got the potential to be this generation's Mario 64 if they can just tighten up the controls and the camera ever so slightly. Like then again, there's a bit where you go into this maze thing I told you about, where it actually says there's like a little robot that keeps appearing, and you can, he's kind of like the developers talking to you, and they're like, you should go over to here and give feedback. Do you like this camera angle? So it is very much that, but
yeah, it's just get feedback.
I'm really looking forward to seeing this now.
So am I, and there's a great bit of humour in it as well from last. So like there'll be other characters than what you've seen. So there's like a snake, that's like a snake salesman, that'll sell you stuff, like shady stuff like that. There's a few. It's going to be a great laugh. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really.
Yeah.
So if you want to keep up to date with all things ukulele and all things 3D platformers, if any other news of them ever comes out, we can but hope, Adam. We can but hope. You can go over to godisgeek.com for all the latest news, opinions, and updates and whatnot. And of course, if you click that we subscribe button beneath this video, you'll be able to subscribe to godisgeek.com/YouTube. YouTube. Well, I've done that the wrong way around, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and keep playing the ukulele, Adam.
Should have backed the God is a Geek Patreon.